The cover page of One Piece chapter 1127, Adventure in the Land of Mystery, features Yamato sharing some oversized onigiri with Inu Arashi. The daimyo of Kuri is worried about all the disappearances going on in his territory. Meanwhile, the giants of Elbaf were worried about a huge fire that suddenly showed up with a distinct aroma. They need to fetch some spring water to deal with it. The flames seem to be coming from the forest. They feared that if the fire makes it to the great tree of Yggdrasil, Elbaf would be doomed. So, reporting this to the great sun god was totally necessary. And that means that someone in charge is claiming the title of sun god here. Yggdrasil is of course the Norse world tree. It'll be interesting to see One Piece take on this famous concept. Also, all of the regular buildings seem to be made of Lego pieces too. Maybe they made the switch after what happened with Big Mom. The giants were even more disturbed to see that two giant bees, Stinger Mole, had been laid out. They're beaten and bruised, but they don't usually just fall from the sky. Apparently, there are reports that the tremors from before were due to the mighty ear god falling, which another giant found to be totally ridiculous, since there was no way something could be able to hurt such a huge rabbit. Which means that this ear god must be big, even by giant standards. It'd be pretty cool if this turns out to be a giant version of a Lapon from Drum Island. Meanwhile, over in a place called Big Stein Castle, Nami was screaming as she realized that the monster in front of her was still alive. She was having trouble with another one of these stinger moles. Zeus happily greeted her after charring an important member of the ecosystem. He wondered where they were, but Nami couldn't remember anything besides being on the giant ship. She cried for someone to save her. Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji all came to mind. In fact, she was desperate enough to accept Usopp's help. To make matters worse, she was dressed in a whole new outfit that she doesn't remember changing into. She had to wonder if this was all some sort of strange dream. Looking around, she could at least tell that this is some sort of castle. Just then, she heard Usopp call out to her from below. But she ended up tripping since the floor is so strange. Usually, you wouldn't build a Lego house and have studs showing on the floor. This is just way too inconvenient to walk on. Clearly, flat pieces are available, so it's a bit of a strange design choice on the builder's part. But Nami had other concerns. An adorable yet massive hedgehog showed up. Nami was horrified by the sight of it. She marveled at its ridiculous size. This thing totally freaked out, and it seems like it took that comment about its size personally. Nami ran away while trying to apologize, and the beast followed. She cried out to Usopp, wondering where he was. The marksman responded. He begged her to save him, since he was in the jaws of an even bigger monster cat. The mention of a rabbit and this cat with an oversized grin are definitely nods to Alice in Wonderland. Nami had her own issue to deal with. She was not a fan of this monster mansion. The hedgehog was nearly upon her. Nami was forced to retaliate with Zeus, but unfortunately, this pushed her over the barrier behind her. Still, she had Zeus zap the creature as they broke through to the lower level. Somehow, Nami managed to perform an acrobatic move that kept her safe. The beast was in a lot of pain. It fell onto the big cat, which ended up dropping Usopp. The current spread between the monsters, shocking them both. Despite the damage, the two weakest Straw Hats agreed that this might not be a good thing. The angry eye of a feline glared at them. Now they were really in trouble. While running, Nami asked if Usopp knows anything about their location. All he remembered was drinking with everyone. Then he was here all of a sudden. That's when Nami remembered one of the giants mentioning that what they were drinking could cause hallucinations. They made it to a wall and were startled by what they saw below. They were way higher up than expected. Just then, Usopp summoned his bravery and turned to the creature. He realized that this cat monster might be a hallucination. Like a proud warrior, he faced the illusion with a smile. The creature's rage intensified. It raked its claws across Usopp's face as Nami cried out in horror. The kitty sent them all tumbling down as the top of the tower collapsed. Nami tried calling out to Usopp, but all she could do was scream as they fell. That crazy height was not fatal, but their situation was beginning to look even worse. The cat monster suddenly turned into a lion. Nami begged Usopp to wake up. There are even human skeletons around them. But that's probably just a part of the illusion, since Elbaf isn't a typical destination for humans. Nami raised Usopp in front of her as a human shield. She shut her eyes to what would surely be her untimely demise, as a familiar voice called out her name. Sanji superheated his leg while swearing to punish the beast. Luffy happily prepared an elephant gun. But interestingly, he calls this Gear 3rd attack a Gear 4th one. Zoro's attack featured visuals reminiscent of Momonosuke. The big lion faced them with ferocious pride. The trio attacked all together. Nami and Usopp were really shocked. The lion began falling over. Then the illusion faded to reveal its slightly less scary form. This entire page is a homage to a page from chapter 162. And that chapter came out 24 years ago. So I can't exactly say I was reading at that time. Zoro deeply considered the creature's change in appearance. He tried to confirm with the others that the lion turned into a cat. Luffy was sitting on the pet and wondered how it might taste. Apparently, the rabbit they had earlier was really good. So, the Straw Hats have officially eaten a god. Sanji was, of course, really happy to see Nami. Nami wiped her tears as she recounted her fear after Usopp's death. The thoroughly disrespected sniper let her know that he is still alive, albeit not so well, and he intends to get her back for that stunt she pulled. Then they heard yet another ferocious beast. Luffy was happy to know that there might be even bigger ones close by. If they looked tasty, he'd bring them back. Zoro insisted that they focus on finding their ship and making sure that the rest of the crew is safe. Sanji told Luffy that he shouldn't forget the bees and their hive. They're really nutritious, so they better not waste them. Which means that they took down an entire army of them. Nami couldn't believe that these monsters were handling this all so well. She demanded to know where they are. Now I am really loving these Elbaf outfits. Everyone looks really cool. This might just be my new favorite Luffy costume. It's between this and the one from Arabasta. If I had to rank these Elbaf getups, I'd say Luffy, Usopp, Sanji, Nami, Zoro. Let me know how you rank them. Now, this chapter, albeit a bit short, is really cool because it doubles as a spot the difference game. Prince Loki is all but certainly conjuring illusions in this place. However, the animal inhabitants themselves are not illusions, and the Lego brick materials are not illusions. We see that the Giants of Elbaf are using these Lego builds as their homes. So there's no way they're just sitting around in the invisible boatmobile all day. And we know the animals are real because they can abuse Usopp and Luffy can eat them. The cat suddenly turning into a lion and then back to a cat was very clearly just illusion work. Once the beast was defeated, those human bones disappeared too. It may be difficult to keep such an elaborate illusion consistent. We see that Nami's sword does a disappearing act from scene to scene. The buckle on her top goes from being circular to square. Her wristbands switch from right to left and sometimes disappear entirely. Even her tattoo is missing at times. And when was the last time you saw Nami without her log pose? Usopp has his pouch in one scene and it's missing in another. And that's pretty vital for a sniper. Luffy is weaponless for a moment, then he has a sword of his own. But by the end, the sword is an axe. Zoro was way too intense in that one panel for us to take it lightly. We didn't see Chopper with the rest of the crew on the giant ship. Based on the Straw Hats we have on Elbaf being the original 5, finding Chopper next makes sense. And he's less likely to be in immediate danger since he can actually talk to animals. And if it comes down to it, he can get bigger and fight too. Based on this display, Prince Loki might actually be a child. A mischievous rich kid with an expansive Lego set and a bunch of exotic pets. We know that he apparently fell in love with Lola at first sight. Unless you're Sanji, that's probably not the most mature thing for a prince to say. He also gave her a single flower instead of something like a bouquet. It's like a little kid plucking a flower from the garden and presenting it to a nice lady. The role of prince itself points towards him being on the younger side. Giants have incredibly long lifespans, so by human standards, he might just be a man-child. So far, this arc is feeling pretty fun. Hopefully Usopp has better luck going forwards, since so many people expect great things from him here. As always, I am Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.